Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. And drum roll, please.
We're thrilled to welcome Alissa Czisny to the show. Alissa, welcome to the set.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, you are currently the star of Ice Dance International. How did your show go this weekend at the Adult Worlds? Were you feted with the kind of praise Queen Alissa should be getting from the adult skaters?
It was unfortunately scheduled for the day after, so Sunday. So a lot of people didn't know we were coming and they had made their flights home. So we had a fantastic turnout for Edge class, but people had to leave. So it was a great show, but small.
Okay. All right. Did you experience people really like you in that dress? You get a lot of comments.
I love that dress. Yes. I love that dress so much. We didn't do experience because there were only 6 of us, not 8.
Did you do the numbers with the hugging? I don't like the hugging. Jonathan, there's a lot of hugging in Ice Dance International. You know,
Ice hugging. Yeah.
They like to hug each other. They're really into it. It wasn't my favorite, but you know, it's okay. Doug knows. It's fine.
Okay.
Which one? The white one? The Moby one? We're wearing white costumes?
Yes. I think like the white spray paint. Yes. Yeah. It wasn't my favorite, you know. Okay. Yes. Can you show what is this shirt you are wearing?
I found it in Kurt's closet.
Okay.
Isn't that fantastic?
Great shirt. It's a great color. Yeah. Yes. Where was Skate America 1985?
No, we need to do some.
I don't know. I looked. So Joseph Sebastiak won. Brian Boitano was there. Kurt has a story and he's going to come up and tell it later. I think it's from this Skate America.
Okay.
We were during COVID. And I don't remember how we discovered it, but there was a commercial, and I believe it was for IKEA from Netherlands or Germany or something. And this couple was sock skating through their house. And it was made to look like they were skating, but they were sock skating. It was a really cool commercial. And at one point they skated past and it was a little medallion, which had this logo on it. And Kurt recognized the medallion as they skated past it. And sure enough, it was a team that competed in that dance team. And I can't remember now who it was. They were in this IKEA commercial that was sort of recent. It was very cool.
Oh, how funny. So I did my research. It was in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Renee Roca won dance.
Queen Renee, yes.
Queen Jill Watson won pairs.
Oh, wow.
Queen Thomas won the ladies.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a nice lineup.
Who was Renee's part?
Kurt was 8th.
Oh. Yeah, I know. He has a story about this.
Wait, you had your breakout moment at Skate America. Were you second at Skate America and then first at Skate Canada that season when you made the final the first time? This would be 05.
Yes. No, yes, because I was last minute replacement at Skate America. But I had gone to Skate America the year before, and I was also a last-minute replacement. And I tied with Cynthia Phaneuf in the short program, and it was the beginning, like sort of one of the first years of the IJS, and it was the first tie. They were like, "We don't know what to do. We don't know how to break a tie because it wasn't in the rules."
You and Carolina Kostner had like a very close competition one year. That was very exciting.
2011, I believe, we were like 0.19 apart or something like that.
Do you like to get Skate America if you're on like the Grand Prix? Do you feel like the Federation is shining down on you? This is like a good moment.
I liked doing Skate Canada because I felt supported by the audience.
And you didn't feel that support at Skate America? Is that what we're supposed to read between the lines?
Not necessarily, but sometimes yes. I didn't. Okay. It was Skate America is hard because everything is riding on you, right? Like if you get invited to Skate America, and so is a lot of pressure, and sometimes you just feel judged by the audience.
Okay.
And it's first one out. I don't know. Yeah.
This is true, and I was usually ready for it, but it is true by the time that NHK or the last one, whatever it is now, comes, you're 6 weeks more prepared.
But did you
which makes a difference.
When you were competing in the Grand Prix, was it the same kind of situation now where we see everyone doing those sort of B events beforehand?
We fortunately got to do all the B events with nobody watching. So you really could go and like it was early season and everyone skated like early season, but you got the bugs out and nobody really, they saw your placement and maybe there was chat, but there was no video, very few videos.
Okay.
Now, I think one of the interesting aspects people be curious to know about, you actually toured with almost all of the top skaters at Skate America over the spring and summer, because you toured with Chock and Bates, you toured with Gillis and Poirier, you toured with Loena Henidrickx and Isabeau, Ilia Malinin. Who else that was at Skate America? Have you done shows with Kevin?
I have not. I only met him once. I really haven't crossed paths with him other than that.
Okay.
Although speaking of Kevin, he was fantastic.
Yes.
So good.
Okay, let's start with the men. What did you make
Okay.
of Kevin and his drama and Sylvia, and like what did you make of the Bolero? It was the first time I liked the program and I was sold. So
everything about Kevin I love, and I love that he's so unique, and I really feel like he's embracing that uniqueness, and I just loved everything about. I really felt like I just want him to land the jump so that there's no break in the program.
Yeah.
You know, and he the only thing I don't love about Kevin is his posture, but I feel like that lends itself to his like artistic geniusness.
Well, and I have to say, we saw more than any competition here, everybody just hanging out, like, I don't know, ordering drinks at the side of the rink next to where the judges were. Every other program, someone was in the judges' faces in the middle of their program. And
Is that a new rule? Are they allowed to now touch the boards?
I think so, because it started with in ice dance, you had to be, and the choreographic stuff, you had to be so close to the boards, otherwise it was an invalid element. So actually didn't get the world score last year because it was considered that they were like more than a meter away or something. So that is why it started, that you started to see people at the boards, and then they started playing with the boards, and now everybody's just at the boards.
Well, and Cowrie had her big moment because she did like the blade sweep and ha 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 ha. But now it has gotten so tired, like everyone is doing it, and like the kitsch of that isn't really my thing. But the way Kevin did it in those final moments of the Bolero, all in for it. I thought if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it. Those final like 15, 20 seconds of the program, I was having like a fever dream. It was so incredible. Yeah.
And the running, I loved the running when he ran, and it was so passionate, and I will watch what he's giving. I love it.
Yeah.
Could he have stronger ankles? That is the one thing that I noticed, like when he uses his ankles in the ice, I feel like his skating skills could be that much better and would make everything else better when I watch.
I didn't actually even notice that because I was so blown away by how many unique things he's doing out there. And that was my favorite thing, was that it wasn't just like, here's my cool move and I'm going to use it in every program. Like, no, there's so many, and like the jump thing and the cool slide and all this, like he's putting them everywhere in the program, and I love it.
I do too. Yeah, I really do. I do think with the ankles, like if you were to make a difference between like Kevin and Jason in terms of like skating skills, it's like Jason uses his ankle and into the edge more than Kevin does.
But I'd almost argue Kevin gives more of an emotional performance than Jason. It's like in a raw, sort of wearing his heart on his sleeve kind of way. And there's something very alluring about that as an audience member. And we've been talking about like a lot of these programs right now, less so in the men's discipline, but they become carbon copies of a very similar formula. So to see him just do something absolutely out of left field, and Alissa, you make an excellent point, because how many people do we see like doing their token cantilever or their now signature Ina Bauer in the choreographic sequence? But this was nonstop and everywhere throughout the program, which I couldn't get enough of it.
Same. And I like I said, I just want him to land his jumps just to get them over with, to like see the rest of the program. But I also think that the fact that his jumps aren't perfect is why we root for him more. Like, it's exciting. He might not land them, and we want him to land them. And if somebody's out there just landing all their jumps all the time, it's not exciting.
Yeah.
I was pretty excited by Ilia's jumps. I have to say, like when he threw that triple axel off of the triple Lutz at the end, like it thrills me. I don't know what it is at the end of that program, but I find that so satisfying. I did talk to Ari Zakarian. They didn't go for the quad axel here because they're trying to push the ISU to make it worth more points, which is like the most Russian thing of all time, to be like, no, we're just not going to do it. No, fine.
It should be worth more though, because he's the only person in the world that can do it. Like you have the Olympic champions who can't. It should be worth more.
I agree. And I thought he looked very improved. His skating skills and his lines from the last competitions to now, it like really, I saw a huge difference in it. Like
it was how he goes between jumps that has improved so much. But okay, so I toured with him. And I didn't know what to expect because I had never met him, and he's really good and he's talented, and I thought he would come with an attitude, and he loves skating, and he's so like, he's got that like exuberance and innocence of youth, but like in such a enthusiastic way. He loves skating and he wants to learn more about it, and he wanted to do everything that Kurt did, and he wanted to, like, he knows the history of the sport. So it's like we've had so many people that just look cynical about skating. And he's not. He loves skating and he wants to improve and he wants to get better. And you can see it this season that he has worked so hard and he cares about it. And I love that.
Yeah. I really liked both performances. I thought that they both had like more performance quality, and I saw him growing into like a leading man. I think it'll be interesting to see him against Shoma this year and like head to head. And I think it's good that Ilia has this area that he needs to work on, because the jumps are so good and it'll keep him from becoming too successful and too dominant too quickly, right? With all of the pressure that can come with that at that age. So I think.
Did Shaylin do both of these programs?
I think so.
I think so. He played us the music when we were on Stars on the practice, and I was not impressed with the music, and I thought this is really not a good choice. But when I watch the programs, I think it's a perfect choice. It's not like stand out, and I'm not going to remember the program, but I think they're good vehicles for him to be more artistic.
I thought it was very smart. Yeah.
How does, because Alissa, you're a queen of quiet shade. So how did you react when you didn't like the music for Ilia Malinin? Like, how did you respond with that? Were you like,
I didn't actually get a chance, I think, to respond, because he played it when we were on practice, but so many other things are happening that Kurt and I were just like, it's not super exciting, but I think that what I saw was much better than what I expected. And so maybe it's also, the music wasn't loud in the arena, so that I didn't get a good vibe, because you can't feel the music when it's not loud. Anyways,
I thought that hugging in that one number on Stars on Ice, and to get his flowers because Stars copied him. Okay, there was also a lot of, I didn't like that number either. I'm sorry, it made no sense. I'm sorry. When did Alexa Knierim ever skate with Kurt on tour? Now we're hugging. Like, it's just no shade to Alexa, but like, I didn't get it. Okay, I didn't understand it. It was a lot of hugging, and it was just like, it didn't make sense to me.
Wait, let's talk about quiet shade and music choices. What did Sandra Bezic say when Scott and Tessa told her that they were going to skate to Moulin Rouge? Wasn't it something like, well, you'll have to give me another reason to listen to it?
You never told us what it was like going to the premiere with Sandra for Carolyn. Yeah.
Oh, well, hang on. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, here he is.
You're being robbed.
Where did he go?
He's gonna run by it.
It's all right.
Oh, come on.
Which is my good side.
So what happened to you at Skate America 85?
You're being
Why were
punked.
you late, Kurt?
I did.
Hey.
1985.
Yes, great shirt.
Great
Picture it.
logo, huh?
Yeah.
That was back in the days whenever you came back to your not dressing room, your hotel room, there was a little goodie. There was something in your dressing room. The local, like, that was back in the days where the goodie bag actually had goodies in it. So that's not the story. So figures. Back when we did figures, I was working really, really hard with my coach, Michael Urianic, and I was going to actually show the world that I had some figures to offer. Yeah. And the first figure was a rocker. Rocker, circle, rocker, circle. David, nice job with the figures, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic work. Anyways, so I'm doing my figure and I did my rocker, nailed it, beautiful, perfect circle, came back, there's no rocker. Shoot, where am I? So I was short of the turn. So I pushed backwards, and because I had trained so hard, I couldn't adjust. That's Cristiano, forget about him. I couldn't adjust, and I did the perfect circle size, which left me that far away from my first push. So now it's decision time. What do I do? So I decide to start with the first one. I trace it, and don't I come back? I trace the push, and to make a long story short, I just thought, well, I'll just show them I can trace.
Trace the bad
So
one.
I traced, yeah. So I had four centers. The one I started with, the 3 extra that I made. To make a long story short, the judges were confused at best. And I came off the ice, and the marks were abysmal. They were awful. So I started crying, which is the right thing to do. I started bawling my eyes out, and I got to the dressing room, and there was one other person in the dressing room. You may now leave. That's enough. I got to the dressing room, and there was one other person that I had never met in the room. And he said, no, cheer up, dude. At least you're not in last place. And I go, no, pretty sure I'm in last place in that figure. And he goes, nope, I'm definitely in last place. And so we're arguing back and forth about who's in last place. And he finally goes, well, what marks did you get? And I go, 1.8, 1.9. Yeah, you're in last place for sure. Yeah, it's you, definitely.
That reminds me of like when you in high school when you tell someone like, oh, I think I failed the test, and there's another hyper competitive kid, and they're like, oh yeah, I failed too. I think I really failed. Like I think I really like bombed. Yeah. Okay.
It was pretty bad. So he became one of my best friends in my life, Cameron Medhurst. He used to come to Edmonton to train with us because I'm like, you should come train with us. And so he did. And so like recently we just visited and taught adults in Australia, and we spent a whole bunch of time with Cameron, that gentleman who offered up last place, and actually it was me. So that's my story from 1985. I got to see Joseph Sabopchik and Brian Botano do their thing, and it was a really big event for me to see what happens on the ice, but also what happens off the ice, and the camaraderie and the friendship and the rewards for skating great. So Skate America 1985.
Figures now, are you going to do it on the black ice? They're trying to get me to do this competition next year, Kurt. If you do it, I'll do it. So like,
I'm looking from my couch at the ice with the figures, and they look like what they did at Worlds. They're really good, and so I'm a little intimidated, but we'll see.
Shepard really wants Alissa to do it. He will go and talk about it for a long time. Yes, that's.
I can try to teach you figures. I've taught you a little bit already.
I've only taken two tests when I was 6, so I have my scribe, and it's marked up for a 6-year-old's height. I took figures when you couldn't see my tracing because I was too little.
Yeah. It was a guess. I'll let you guys get back to the real Skate America.
What was your favorite moment of Skate America, Kurt? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw the singles events, and I was very impressed. I can remember the first event of the year is always supposed to be a sacrificial event, and sure that the second half wasn't so super strong, but there was some great skates. And the athletes, they're truly athletes, and I'm so impressed. And of course, Ilia and Loena were true champions. It looked like the kind of skates that should win the Olympics. So it was pretty. I was impressed. I had fun. Brought out the fan in me. All right, bye. Love you. And you guys too. Bye.
All right.
Let's go back.
Alissa, what do you make of Torgashev, Naumov? They both showed a lot of promise, but neither one has really put it together consistently yet in the US. What do you make of these boys? As you've trained with a lot of US boys who need to get it together with a lot of talent, what do you make of that?
I'll be honest, I've only ever watched them at nationals and then here. Mm-hmm. So I don't know them, and I don't really know their skating, so I'm not familiar with it, but I wasn't excited by them, even though they're both great skaters. It feels like they have no personality, and because I don't know them personally, I'm not like invested in their skating, and it nothing that they did on the ice made me more invested. And I hate to say that, but I think skating needs personalities, and I don't see who they are on the ice.
I sort of get that. I mean, Torgashev had like a really exciting short program earlier. I think it was Lombardia. I'm not remembering exactly right now. But the step sequence in the short program shows me something is very possible there.
That's why I say that, I think, because they are good skaters, and I think they have potential. And I'm sure they have fantastic personalities that we would love to root for. And I say this because I don't know them personally, and I think this is the first generation of skaters I don't always know. So I don't know who I'm watching on the ice.
Yeah.
I think for both of them, like the confidence with the jumps and the training seems like it's lacking, and then they don't perform as well because they don't have kind of the bare minimum.
It's also like you put up a wall to go out and do your job, and that makes sense because skating's hard. Yeah. And doing all those triples in your program is really hard, and getting all those points. And so you put up a wall to focus, but then there's that wall.
Yeah. And the wall doesn't seem to be working with some consistency here. I mean, same with Naumov. Like, I mean, people were texting me being like, pairs, question mark?
Also, his axel will never work with that back edge entry. It's a straight line. He's trying to go from a straight line, and then he takes a left curve, and it's not going to be easy with that entry, I don't think.
Yeah. I wanted to know what you thought of Shun Sato, because there are so many great guys in Japan, and he obviously has really good basics, but at the same time, I couldn't see him breaking through based on this performance. Like, I just didn't feel like he had enough special qualities to like stand out against the Yumas and the Shomas and the Kazukis, and in that sense.
Tell me, I'm looking at my notes. Tell me what was he at Worlds?
He was not at Worlds last
He
year.
was not at Worlds. I thought like he had fantastic skating skills,
Yes.
as most of the Japanese skaters do. And I didn't like his short. I didn't like the tango, but I liked his skating enough to watch whatever he was doing. And his long, I liked that he looked straight at the judges. He was really committed to that program. And I really liked that about his skating, where I felt like he was, like I just said about the American boys, that they weren't really there. They put up that wall. I felt like he didn't. I felt like he opened the door and invited you into his skating a little bit.
Yeah, I did really like Litnitsev, the Azeri boy.
Wait, is he the one that did the Nutcracker for his long?
Yeah, but the Nutcracker with the weird music at it that suddenly became something else that was very confusing to me.
Yeah, it was,
but I liked it because it had personality.
Yeah. He had a lot. That costume he wore in the short to the Lion King with the teeth and the leopard print.
For the Lion King, that was an unusual choice.
I don't know, but I love how so one of my coaches like runs he's involved with the Azeri Federation. And I did see that the Azerbaijan judge gave Ilia a 9.75 for skating skills, which I thought was a little high. Maybe. Ilia, I mean, they all
Ilia
together. They know Ilia's parents and whatnot. And I was like, okay, we see how this is going. We see the backing. Yes.
Can I ask a really embarrassing question now? I always say Azerbaijani, but you're saying a different word? Is that incorrect?
I think it's Azeri.
Fascinating. Okay, I did not realize that.
I would not know this if the Federation was not in Montclair.
Wow.
Like, so I don't think that there is any, like, it's one of those, I don't know.
Okay, sure.
I also noticed that if we were to mispronounce a Chinese or a Korean or a Japanese name, people would write it like a million comments, basically with the tone of "you idiot," right?
Yeah.
Marjorie and Zach, how do you pronounce his name? Laga, Lagha, what is it? I just know that no one corrects anyone about it, and it's one of those names that we have not figured out how to pronounce yet.
I would have thought Laga.
They're Marjorie and Zach to me. Okay, that's.
But the announcer, I don't know. With Czisny, did anyone mispronounce your last name at skating events?
Ever go
all the time.
I don't know where they got these announcers for this, but they would say them so comically incorrect. And then you would hear like the NBC people like clarify who that person really was, because you had no idea based on the announcement. Like
they should have they should have the ISU has the bio written, like how do you pronounce it. Speaking of the LOC though, like they got people in seats. There were people watching Skate America for once. Yeah. It was fantastic to see. That was so nice. Like there were people screaming for skaters.
It was great. We really had a good.
So good to see.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a lot of buildup for it, so I thought it was great. I wanted to know what you made of the women's event, because this is.
Before we leave, I'm sorry to be that guy. You know who I liked? Not so much in the free skate, but in the short program was Nozumo Yoshioka with Daisuke's old coach.
Yeah.
He was wearing Shoma's costume for a short, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then those silly boots for Pirates of the Caribbean.
At least he didn't do the drunk footwork sequence. Which was really great the first time we saw it.
Yes, understood.
But not when it got used again and again.
Agreed. I thought he was very enjoyable. Had some really nice moments here. But
He was very unrefined, but I think he has a lot of potential. And it's okay. He's young and he's unrefined, and that's all right.
And to this point, which I think is sort of like a theme throughout the disciplines here, I was intrigued by like when Kevin was doing the bolero, because it starts basically calm, sort of like builds up. I felt it kept him, an emotional skater, rather steady in the beginning. And then when I see someone come out and do something like Pirates of the Caribbean, it becomes so heavy and frantic. I can't help but feel like the skaters respond to that in their body somehow. And I was wondering, like, as we transition to the ladies, or women's, excuse me, with Amber's short program music, she finally was out of like weepy ballad sort of sound, and it had an attack to it. And I was like, oh, is that why she's able to attack? And then when she started the free skate, I was like, oh, this music is like very calming. Will this help her, or will it actually not inspire her to attack? Did you find that like the music was affecting your skating based on like its adrenaline or tempo or anything?
I guess I never really thought about it in that way, but I understand what you're saying. And I think that I still was part of the generation where you did fast, slow, fast for the most part. So you went out with the energy, and then you had time to rest, and then you got the energy at the end. And not all programs are created that way for, whatever reason, whether artistic or musical or whatnot. But it can affect you, and it can affect you throughout the season too, because you have something that's so passionate, you just use up your energy at the beginning of the season, or you have something that's a little too boring and you're just not inspired by the end of the season. One more note about music for the men, the Ave Maria.
Yeah, discuss.
You can't skate to Ave Maria and be all business.
Yeah, it's true.
And then it's whatever happened to the music almost felt heretical. Like, I don't know what happened to that. Was a really
sacrilegious edit. Okay.
It felt like it's. I mean, I want to see Carolina Kostornaia skate to Ave Maria.
Yeah.
1,000 times over, and let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. No argument here.
What about when Kenneth did the dramatic Ave Maria, but she did the Russian Puccini version, and then it went into Amen, and she like, great. But then they made these like weird Elvis costumes that were strange. But the Olympics
with the cross on them.
Yes, 2010.
I can't remember the program now, but I remember the costumes.
If you watch it when the program was in the original costumes, it looks like a very pretty program. When you watch what they did at Nationals and the Olympics, it's a cluster mess that I can't recognize what's happening. But like, it was originally it was kind of nice, but there's this one shot of Tanith where she like is kneeling and she's like, duh! And like, it's incredible. Like, it's the drama that we need in Ice Dance. So it was Tanith's moment. They had this, it was a good program. I
have to go back and watch it now. I don't remember it.
Yes. And that was the year that they didn't want to be third at the final to Marilyn Charlie before the Olympics. So that she said that she had the wisdom tooth surgery.
And then they left me and I was the only American at the final. But that was before 2000. That was in 2005.
This was 2010. So maybe they skipped the final.
Oh, they skipped they skipped it then. Maybe I thought that she had wisdom tooth surgery then, but maybe not.
No, she definitely had wisdom tooth surgery 2009. I remember that really, really well, like making jokes about it, but because it just seemed like such an obvious excuse at the time. But in 2005, they were trying to get her citizenship before the Olympics.
Maybe that's what it was.
A lot of stuff going on then. So, all right. What do you make of Loena Henidrickx and this thing? Because now it seems like the women who were around during the Russian era are starting to be more comfortable being leading contenders. And Loena seemed to have a really like slow summer. She was just like doing 2 triple sows in some of the shows in Japan and like putting her hand out on the second sow and wasn't sure how this was going to go. She said that she had a hard preparation getting ready, but I felt like she looks good. She's trying to peak later in the season, which I think is smart. I don't trust her jump technique or rotations at all, but I do think she's kind of the star that skating wants, but I didn't feel like she was prepared enough to give the performance and the jumps in the free. Like I felt like there was a disjointed quality.
I agree. And I think that's early season. And she did tour. I mean, it was fun, so much fun to tour with her. But I don't think she's ever toured that long, right? So you don't really get a break. and then your season starts later because you've toured into June, and then she went to Japan and toured more. So it's fine that she still was fantastic, but that separation that you're talking about just comes from it's early in her season. But I feel like I couldn't find her short, by the way, so I didn't get to watch her short.
Oh, you missed it. She was dressed like a mix between Tanya Harding's 1994 Olympic short dress and Blanche Devereaux in the Rusty Anchor episode of The Golden Girls.
It had a lot of razzmatazz. Alyssa didn't have TV growing up, so I don't know if she knows the Golden Girls.
Yeah, but the Tanya red dress.
Okay, I missed that. I didn't get to see any of it. But her long, I feel like her long is very similar to the number that she did in Stars.
Okay.
Which was great, but I feel like for a long program, I feel like somebody's telling her this is what you should do, and so she's doing it, but I don't see it. I don't see her believing in it, and that's what bothers me, because I think it could be fantastic. If she believes in it, it's going to be great, but it just looks like someone saying, you do this, so she's doing it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like she doesn't know better, or doesn't trust herself, or just doesn't know that she can pick what she wants. It just looks like that to me, and so it's a great program, not really my style, but I still think that there's potential there. I just think that she doesn't believe in it, so it's not going to go anywhere until she does.
I think she would be the perfect Raphael skater. She kind of has the wonky technique, which they all have, going in, right? Like he always takes people with less than standard technique, like Adam's triple axel, Ashley's jumps, Mariah Bell's jumps had like a unique angle to them. I feel like Luna would be really interesting with Raphael, and he could turn her into like an Ashley or Adam showbiz splashy kind of skater. And I think she needs like a little bit of an extra push from outside of her, and maybe her brother could come with her to Raphael to like apprentice and also work with him to gain more knowledge. We see her brother loves to be in a Speedo on the beach, so why not do that in California? We follow him on Instagram, right? So like I think that they could like do a part-time situation. I just think it would help her get that extra bit of confidence that she'll need to really be top in the world. Yeah. Because I think it's going to be tough this year with Yelim, Cowrie, Luna, Amber, Isabeau. Like they seem to be getting more competitive with each other. So I agree with you that she didn't seem to believe the free. If you watch her face, it's very blank through a lot of it. Though she has attitude and she's got a costume, it's not as effective as her short program. Like she just, I don't know, she's not owning it yet. If she either has to go 200% more in terms of performance or switch it, is what I would think.
Yeah, that's all I really felt. I mean, her jumps were fine. The program was great. I wish that the band went around further, because the fact that it stopped her costume in the long just bothered me a little bit, just aesthetically. But I just felt like, and it was so similar to her program on tour, which I couldn't tell you what the music was anymore, but I felt like she was starting to connect to the audience on tour, because it's something you learn when you're performing and not being judged, is how to connect to the audience. And I just feel like here it's not excuse me, she's not connected with the music or the choice or something.
How do you feel when she goes up this with the jumps? Like, are you over this position?
I mean, to her credit, and to be fair, she's competing in Europe against the Russians, where everybody's doing that, so you have to. Where the judges think that that's harder, and so they give you more credit. And at this point,
but didn't they officially remove that as a bullet point feature?
Did they? I don't know.
It's official.
Tara still says it every time. She's like, oh, they do that for extra GOE. But it was like, they actually knew everyone was doing that, and it was getting so old, they removed it as one of the bullet points, but still it remains.
Tara has been getting a surrogate, and we have been listening to the podcast for like 15 weeks about her uterus. I am really invested in this. Was the baby already born with the surrogate? We don't know. But this is a real podcast, Jonathan, that you're missing out on.
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't realize it had started. I knew she was going to do it. I didn't know that was already happening.
Oh, yeah. It's on YouTube. You can go down. It's a rabbit hole. Okay.
I've been playing in the forest and just lost a little bit.
You're chopping down trees, Alyssa, and you're doing all of this crazy moving rocks. Like, yeah. Well, I don't understand. Okay. This is fun for you people. I don't know. Canada. All right. So now, Isabeau, what did you make of this? Because I think she's like a very lovely skater being attacked by a really hideous dress in the free, and I don't know who's styling her.
And the short.
Yeah.
The skirt was better in the short. The skirt is shorter, right? And now than it was.
Could you imagine her in like a Matthew Caron, like really like, or your experience?
Fantastic. She would look fantastic. The skirt in the long is there's way too much of it. Like she gets lost in it. You don't see her. I can't get past the skirt with the rest of the costume, but I just think that maybe Mathieu would be a great person to do her costumes.
Look at her hair. There's something about the braiding that looks like very matronly, or like we're in the 1940s, or like something is happening.
I think it's the dress.
The dress. Okay. I think it's both, but I think it's all too much.
Because again, that strikes me as something like when we talked about when they put Zagitova in the tutu, it was designed to fool you. But this isn't someone that needs to be fooling us. So she can hit some very beautiful positions. Like, can we just see them? And I get the idea of the snake. It's, interesting when it's on the ice or whatever in the beginning of that short program. But the color of it, when they were zooming in up close, you were like, oh, I guess I kind of understand what it is. But from afar, it just looks burnt or something. She could make such a statement and be such a classy presence in the sport right now compared to all the Madonna and other things happening. But I think they're still missing the mark just a little bit. Sad.
Yeah, and skating, like skirts are hard, right? When I remember with all my skating dresses, how long I stood there where we did the skirts, and because you can look really frumpy with a skirt that's caught just a little bit wrong, and I feel like her skirts are not helping the costume. Although I do think I watched some of her videos from Oberstdorf and something else, and Japan Open, and I think that we were talking about Loena not believing in her programs, and I feel like Isabeau does now believe in her programs, even from the last competitions. Especially in her short, she looked invested, and she looked like she loved it, and that was really cool to see.
But there are some cool movements in that short, like the knee sliding.
Yeah. Ouch, my knees hurt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It looks really good on camera. I'm curious if it looks as good in an arena, because the camera loves what's going on in her costume on the sleeve, right? With the snake, and it really makes it. So I think if you watch her on TV, obviously she looks faster than she does in person. What is your take on her? Because she has like nice movement quality on the ice, but she doesn't actually push through her edges. But she is like doing the turns. So like, is she just not getting in the ice? Like, what is your take on her footwork and her movement across the ice, Alissa?
Actually watching her at Skate America, I thought that she looked better.
Okay.
I thought that she looked improved and stronger, and I wasn't expecting that. Actually, I also think that she was a little bit burnt out last year, and then she was on tour and she was saying that she really just wanted a break from skating, and then by the end of tour I think she kind of fell in love with skating a bit. So it was nice to see that, and just to see skating in a different light for her. But I just feel like when she skates, we were talking about this, I feel like she doesn't use her glutes, so when she goes to skate, it's just like everything else is just holding it a little bit instead of that extra power that you get when you I don't even know how to explain it.
No, that makes sense to me, and I don't even know how to do any of it.
I find it's very interesting. She has the week of the competition or the weeks before, she will have the most dramatic competition. She will fall and lay on the ice, and the rest of the coaches will just like skate by for minutes. She will do this very often. She will stop the program if she misses something, but then she like does it at the competition, which I think
really knows how to put it down when it counts.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic thing to know how to do, but it doesn't stay with you forever, because that sort of practice does catch up with you. And if her coach is letting her get away with it, sometimes when you and your coach are too close, I guess. I don't know.
And you say, Dave, like the competition boiling up for this season, but like Isabeau skated solidly for her here, and she was safely behind Lena. I mean, there was a pretty big gap there. So to me, in person, the judges are just buying what Lena is selling, and they're not really going for Isabel in person. I don't know if it's not big enough or fast enough or something, but the score divide was quite substantial, I felt.
Yeah, I think that she doesn't have the kind of magnetism or power that Loena had. Like, I think Loena had more X factor here, and Isabeau is more controlled, especially in that free. I don't know. What do you think?
But
Melissa?
I think she could have it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she could get it, but I feel like it's there if given the right space to grow and learn it and make mistakes if that happens, because it always happens. And I feel like Isabeau can have that star quality and that engagement, because I mean, when you watch her, you want to watch her.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Now, what do you make of Amber Glenn? Because I think Amber could be the biggest star in skating, especially domestically. Like, she has everything.
She's going to win nationals. So when I watched her, I felt like her short program was the first time that she's skating to something that's her. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of like the details of the program, but I didn't really care because I felt like the costume, I felt like her attitude, I felt like the way she engaged with the audience and the judges. This was really Amber for the first time that we're seeing like the true Amber. And I loved it. I mean, I'm buying it, and she looks even in the long with the mistakes, and I love the costume in the long, and I love the program for her free program. Even with the mistakes, I feel like she's on the right track, and I hope she doesn't forget what she's been doing. Like, she's on the right track, and mistakes happen, and it's Skate America. It's not nationals. It's fine. But I really feel like if she keeps progressing, whatever she's doing, it's right. And I think that she believes in herself. And I hope she continues to do it, because I really think she can win nationals.
I mean, that triple axel was so
good.
And then I saw, like, that adrenaline, all of that stuff. I was like, the tale will be told on the next combo. And she nailed it. It obviously wasn't until later. It was sad.
I think it was the most technically beautiful triple axel that was landed by an American woman in competition. Like, it had almost artistic flair to it. The most
Mariah's is pretty good though.
Mariah is great, and I will give Mariah her flowers, and she had power. Mariah had a setup choreographically that I didn't think was as...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, I agree. And this was, I mean, it was easy. It was perfectly backwards.
Mariah's has more oomph to it, right? Like, more explosive dynamic. I thought Amber's was almost more artistic in the way of how she could land it. But also Mariah was with Tom Z, who's not like the most artistic brain. So, I don't know. But Paul thinks that Tiffany Chin's was better than all of them in practice when she did it in '83. So that was his thing.
I'll concur with that, but Amber's was outstanding.
He's also a huge fan of Ilia's Raspberry Twist. Every time he does it, he's a big fan. Okay, like, he loves it. Okay, yeah. So, loves the name, loves the whole deal. So, yeah. All right. Did any other women stand out for you? I thought, like, the women's event, the top three were so good. The other thing about Amber is she broke her face last month and had a concussion. So she really didn't have training time before this competition. I was amazed at what she put out without having time to prepare. Yeah.
It looked great, but what stood out to me the most was that it looked like, and it's really nice to see, because she's 22, 23. She's an adult and she's a woman, and it's nice to see that she has, because I met her years and years ago, and she's a great jumper, but I feel like she has taken that progress to become who she is, and that's when people become better skaters. And the fact that she has a triple axel to go with it is awesome. But there's something that she's doing this year that's different. Did she change coaches, or I don't know?
She's been in Colorado for more than a year now, right? So she's been with the coaches for more than a full year. And she works with Damon primarily. Tammy, I'm sure, will try to get in the kiss and cry at nationals if she's going to win. But she is with Damon as really her main coach. Everyone has to kind of kiss the ring of Tammy based on how it works politically in Colorado right now. But she's really like a Damon. I think that if she is to win nationals, all eyes on if Tammy is in the kiss and cry.
But so if Damon is working with her, there's something that they're doing that has now, like, they laid the foundation last year whenever she started. And I feel like now she's building on it, but she trusts the process. She knows what she's doing. There is a process. And I feel like as long as she doesn't get discouraged by these results and just keeps doing whatever that process is, we're going to see those results.
Yeah, and it felt, even in like when we were watching those interviews and stuff afterwards, it felt sad because she wasn't leaving space at the moment kind of for the celebration of what she had just accomplished, because it was so marred by those last 3 passes. I hope at some point, easier said than done, that she can find some time to celebrate.
Yeah. The only thing I have a beef with her skating is a little bit of her landings are all like she falls forward on the landings, and I find that that it causes a problem, and I don't know, maybe she just doesn't have a nice run of the edge, or is there something how she hits the ice that's a little bit like just hitting the ice, and I wonder if being able to fix that will help her just a little bit more consistency on the end of her jumps.
What do you think of Isabeau's jumps and how she gets in the air with the bending?
That goes for what we were talking about, where I feel like she's not strong enough to fully to vault herself into the air, but man, are her feet and her legs are so tight in those positions that she knows how to get up and get into that position.
It reminds me of my former favorite diva, Caroline Zhang, when she Ave Maria.
It does.
Yes.
It does. You're right. I didn't think about that. But
and people will say that we're too tough on Isabeau, but we've seen this before. We have seen what happens, and I
worry about the maturing.
Yes.
Some growth, some technique doesn't stand through puberty or through growing or your center of gravity changing, and we see that with the Russians. It doesn't always last, and it's just a certain type of technique that was made for smaller people. Smaller, lighter, younger people.
Now, you were dying to come on the show with Jonathan. Jonathan, obviously, big fan of you. What you may not know is you're both big fans of Satoko.
Yes.
And you hadn't seen her at the Japan Open yet until I sent you her long program. Did you watch it? What do you make of it? You can both gush. I mean, I'm a huge fan. Well, just let it rip. Yes. Alissa, you...
Okay.
Already good. So, I had a whole episode where all I did was push about the Romeo and Juliet for like an hour straight. Yeah.
First of all, props to her for competing a long program.
Yeah.
Like, once you retire, doing 7 triples in a long program is really hard. And I will watch Satoko skate all day, no matter what she skates to, because she cares about every moment of it. There's a reason for it. She takes her time for every single moment of the program. She cares about it. There's a reason for it. There's attention to every detail. And I love her, and I love her skating. And I love that she cares about skating so much.
Did you like the program?
Yes, I loved it. I love that she ended on the ice like that, which is also, I didn't realize, now allowed.
I've ended on the ice before. You should do it.
You can tell.
I do. Did you see my program?
I saw Dave land on the ice. Yeah, his
slide across the ice.
Yeah. But you know what was sort of sad here was young Yu. I wish if young Yu was no longer had her heart in competition, which is fair enough, and I understand that. I feel like someone is forcing her to keep going. And
I was gonna ask if something's wrong or if she's injured. It looks like she checked out, and that's exactly how she skated. And I feel really bad because that's a hard place to be.
Yeah.
I think around the time that her father passed away in the Olympics and everything, and I think it's all just been a lot. But she's so talented. I think she could make like a late entry. I think that they always had really wonked up setups for her quad sow and her triple axel that weren't ever going to like be that successful on her entries, and they just kept hammering them for so many years and they never happened, and I feel like they wasted a lot of time with her overall skating. And it's how many times do we see her on that like really shallow but long curve into the axle, and it just never materialized.
Right. And she would do it well in practice, because I remember watching practice at Skate Canada last year. I don't know. And they're good. They're fine. They're like, I just assumed that she was going to land it because they were good enough. You know, like when somebody is doing a jump enough to, you're like, okay, she's going to land it. She'll be fine.
Yeah. Interesting. So what'd you make of Jason's Tarzan? Now that do you have thoughts on that?
I love Jason skating, and I could watch him skate to anything all day. This is just not my favorite program of his, and I'm fine that he tried something different because you have to, and sometimes you just don't get the right one, and that's okay. But there was nothing that stood out for me in this program. You know, and I will watch Jason all day, no matter what he skates to. He can skate to the alphabet, and I'll watch it.
I mean, he was at his absolute best last year. I just wonder. I mean, this program has so many like cool moments, and yet they didn't come alive yet.
I enjoy it in a way. I don't think it's one of his definitive ones, but I just like that they switched it up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Now, I also sent you both Maren Honda, who I think, you know, you're a Satoko fan. Maren had the same, you know, coach. What do you make of her skating? She's still out there competing. Should she be a solo dancer? Like, what should Maren be doing with her life? I love to watch her skate, right?
So you sent her video, and we were talking about Jason and Satoko, and I wish there were professional, like world professional competitions, because then we could watch these wonderful skaters be even better because they care about their skating, they care about the story, the character, the every detail. But like, to not have to do 7 triples in your program or whatever, like, it would be so much more effective for skating if they didn't have to do that and we could still watch them, because like Maren is a beautiful skater. There's no way she's doing 7 triples in her program. I really don't care if she ever does 7 triples. Right. I could still watch her skate, but like, why is she still trying to compete? Or maybe she's just injured. I don't know her story, but I would love to watch her skate without having to try 7 triples.
Yeah.
Now, how about Alena Kostornaia, who was very upset with her marks in Russia with her performance, even though she made more mistakes than her husband and partner did. You know, they've gotten married, they've teamed up in the last year, a lot is happening. Now she's upset with her marks in competition. I'm riveted by what's happening. I don't know, it just feels like a reality show, but it feels right. I have to say, like, this feels like the right trajectory of her as a pair girl. Like,
I mean, I feel like she still could have won Skate America.
Yes, she could have won Skate America in pairs.
I mean, they're going for the triples and the flip and the lots and like all this sort of stuff. Like, they look clumsy and new, but I have to tell you, compared to some of the stuff that was happening in the Paris event here, I think they still have a place somewhere if they can get out of their own country.
I haven't gotten to watch. I've watched nothing in Russia actually, right. And I only got to watch a little bit of what you sent.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's doing every single pair trick. Great. Mm-hmm. She's obviously looks like she can jump and she can do the pair tricks, and she is like skating really, really well, but just new at pairs, as she should be, because she is new at pairs. And so I think that the connection and the like small details are not there, and they don't look at each other, and like that's normal for a new pair team, and it should be reflected in the marks, I guess. But like, there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they're new.
Yeah.
And they look like they're new, and they are, and that's totally fine. And your marks are going to reflect that, and you just keep working on it because she's really good at the pair stuff.
What'd you make of the pairs at Skate America? I thought Balazs and Chelsea have a lot of potential. I do think that Chelsea needs to work on her core strength, and like doing a lot of Pilates could help her like hold her limbs out. So I just wasn't sure what you made of them. You know?
They also look brand new to me, and they are brand new, and it's unfortunate that they have to compete here, because I feel like if they could take like 13 months and just skate together and then show up at nationals, like they would have time to work on like the small things that nobody has time for anymore. But they have so much potential. They're beautiful skaters, both of them, and I think that they will be a good match. And they were fine here, but they look so new, and they look like they're thrown into it, and they don't get the time to work on what they should be working on for the future instead of the now. And that's not their fault. It's funding, and they have to compete, and that's like how it works now. But I just wish it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah, that opening throw, triple twist, and the like the lift at the end, like there was some. I have to be honest, I wasn't really expecting much of anything, and when those glimpses of greatness sort of came through, I was thrilled. I just thought, oh, it just seems like we're looking at it before they were ready for us.
Yeah, and and I think that they probably didn't put all their elements in, because, I mean, and I really think what they have to offer is going to be good.
Yeah.
How about Leah and Trent? What do you make of them? It's funny, the pair girls that used to compete are either like Team Leah and Trent or Team Deanna, and like ne'er the two shall meet. Like, what do you make of all of this?
Leah and Trent also look new, and they are new. And I mean, it takes a while to become a pair team, and she still looks like a single skater, but she looks like she was made to be a pair skater. And I can't wait to see what they look like at the next Olympics, because I really think that they have potential. They're powerful, they're exciting, and they're new right now, and they're still great for being new. But I think that they, like, in the next 3 years, they're going to be so much better.
Are you fascinated by Deanna?
I love that she's still skating and competing. My
Yeah.
sister competed with her at nationals in
90.
I can't remember.
You were novice in 99 because I have the
In
video.
Salt Lake.
Yes.
Sure. Yes, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Why weren't you there?
Because I didn't make it. I wasn't good enough. I don't know. I didn't skate well at regionals or something. My sister was better than me.
For how long? When was your sister better than you until? Like,
I mean, we were first, second, like, and growing up, and then she just was stronger, and she was a better performer, and she was just more like dynamic. And I was more shy, and I was quieter, and I think I skated like that, but I also liked practice more. So I may not have like performed, but the practice started to catch up, and she got injured too, which doesn't ever help. And she would have been a great ice dancer too. She wanted to do ice dance for a while, but couldn't get a partner.
You're supposed to say, but we were best friends and are each other's cheerleaders.
Actually, but no, we were in there was never there was a competitive nature between us. Like, if she landed an axel, well, then like I would land an axel. That wasn't an option for me not to like do what she was doing, or vice versa. But I never felt like it was a bad competitive. It was just we pushed each other, and then when we went to competitions, we were there with each other.
Okay.
I mean, we were never competing for the national title against each other. Like, that maybe would have gotten a little stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. Did anyone else, what did you make of the Germans in the pairs?
Wait, pause. I just need to leave this. And sometimes, like, I think I'm pegged as disliking Canadian pairs, which is not true. However, I have to say, where we were talking about like Chelsea's like lifts and twists being so beautiful, Leah and Trent always make me so nervous during their lifts. And they do that variation on the lift that we see a lot of people do in the lasso lift, where like she like holds her leg and then extends it in the split. And I think it's going down every time. So I understand that there are like newnesses to pairs teams that have just gotten together, but this is a very nervy team for me. I get very
also,
nervous.
Props to her for starting on the ice. At a competition, sitting on the ice, like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Show, no problem, but a competition, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't.
That takes guts.
I don't think they have a lot of style, and I don't know that I see the potential for a ton of style. So I think it's going to take good coaching and good choreographers and good music choices to really kind of enhance that, because to me they lack just that inherent quality that makes you want to watch like a Gordy Van Grinkhoff or someone that's really great. Like, I think that they're solid and steady, but it reminds me of like a Canadian version of like the Hartzels, right? Where they were like very meat and potatoes, but not stylistic, or that makes you like want to say, wow. And I think for right now, like meat and potatoes is fine because it'll get you points, but I don't think that it has like the growth potential against the other teams.
And do you think that's because they're new and you can kind of only do one thing at a time, whereas like, you just do, I don't really, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't watch pairs that much. I'm sorry.
You don't have a size difference to begin with, which is it's how they teamed them up. And right. So he's shorter. He always has been. It's not changing. Right. And I think that it's always going to be a little bit of a limitation in some of his partnerships because of that. Like, this is another boy that was short compared to his last partner. They got a new partner. It's the same problem. It's like Michael Parsons, right? Like, and it's like more of the same. So I don't know. I think that they're going to have to really rely on their single skating ability to get them some points. Like they're going to need to do some harder triples and stuff.
They were, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that now that the axel is a combination.
Yeah.
And that the pairs are doing it. I mean, I know that it's easier, but it's really pretty.
Yes.
You know, and so I'm really loving that a lot of people are using, especially pairs, are using the double axel or whatever as a combination because it's nice just to watch.
It is, and the step to the throw feels very like thrilling. I don't know why, but like rather than a double toe, double loop, like which I hated to watch, whether it was singles, pairs, whatever, I much rather see someone land a jump, step, and fling themselves into a double axel. Like it's very satisfying. It's like yes, right? I don't know. I find that. As for the Germans, I thought that they won, but I don't find anything truly special about their skating against the other teams.
I really dislike the long program music. I loved her costume and I liked their skating, but I just felt like the music was hindering them. Okay. Or there was like, it was not really easy music to skate to. And so it was like, I could hear the music instead of it just fading into the background. And then they weren't skating to the music, which is fine. They're pairs. Like it's hard, really hard to make a program that skates to the music unless you go to Laurie Nickel and you're, you know, like top level pairs. But it's the music just actually bothered me in that program. I think it was the free program, right? Because she was wearing red in the free program.
They were not really my cup of tea. I have to say, like the whole competition. But I'm curious what you think about the dance event, because to me, this was the best competition here. And I really want to know what you make of Chock and Bates, and if you could tell the story about the note she wrote you, because to me, Madison has come alive this year. Like you could tell she is leading this team. She believes in herself as world champion. She sees herself, and I thought that there was such a marked improvement in her overall like demeanor and confidence here.
Did I watch them? Oh yeah, I did. Sorry, I didn't get to watch all of the free dances because I was watching the videos on the plane on my way home.
Oh,
I didn't know you could get YouTube on a plane, but you can get YouTube on a plane. I really loved the free program, but I didn't like the short dance. Actually, the short dance is fine. Yeah. Oh, sorry, the short dance.
We know what
the rhythm dance. Sorry. Yeah. It was a short dance for a while.
Good. It's solid.
It's fine. It's whatever. Like, it's not bad. I'm not in love with it, and I'm not going to remember it next year, and that's fine. And I love their free dance, and it's my second favorite free dance of theirs, I think, ever.
What's your first being?
My first one being the one when they first moved to Montreal, and he was like wearing that gold, or the tux with the gold bow.
This one, where she did. It was Elvis at the end.
It was when they first went to Montreal. Is that what it was? Yeah. So I felt like that brought out his personality more than they'd ever had before that. And I still remember that free dance. But this one, I liked that they didn't go with a theme and they didn't go with characters. And it was just about the weird uniqueness. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing there was a theme. Was there?
It was
her costume. And Shepard Clark pointed this out because I was watching without commentary. Her costume is a take on Salvador Dali's painting The Persistence of Memory, and that's why it's like a clock like that, which is really
cool. Dali melting clocks, and then it's Dark Side of the Moon and all this sort of stuff. Like everything was tying in. I was in.
And it was, obviously there were a lot of Virtue and Moyer fans that were nervous that they were doing Pink Floyd, although Tess and Scott were injured that season and never really, I don't think, gelled that program. I thought this had so many incredible pictures that I almost, last year I thought that the Canadians had a magic program in the free dance. This one, the elements with their lifts, and especially the stationary lift where she's standing on his blade, and the pictures are so incredible. I can't see it losing if they are clean. It's just, they need more speed. And I was messaging with Marie France about it. She's like, we did what we had to do to win here. Now we need to get in a second gear and get more speed going. But I think they look really good.
I think it's a fascinating program. Yeah.
Do you remember the Marina Zueva program that she did for Katya and Sergey? And I can't remember if it was competitive, where it was about the Rodin sculptures, and it was about the
reds, and they did
yeah.
a sculpture. Yeah.
So somehow this program made me think of that, because it was more about the image of what they were creating, and I loved that.
Yeah.
I felt like it was fresh, especially fresh for them. And I don't know, this is really one of my favorite programs of theirs.
It was maybe one of my favorite free dances. Like, I thought it was so interesting throughout it. And I felt like last year we didn't see the best of what Montreal really had to offer. I didn't think that they were doing like a ton of new concepts. And I felt like everybody was like refreshed and better. And like they had really spent time thinking about this idea. And I just thought it worked. I do think when she dances, when the music changes in the rhythm dance, I think it's really cool. Like I was just talking, like her personality and persona seems to be really growing. Yeah.
I do remember it now. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. I'm not against the rhythm dance. It's just, it's really hard when you have a themed rhythm dance to come up with something unique. And that's just that's the, however, I do think Olivia did, like, I feel like she just gets it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I love Olivia Smart. I think she is one of the leading ice dance ladies. I don't think that their costumes work together really in either program. I think that we need to like go back to the drawing board. I actually like her blondie look in the rhythm dance, but if she's going to do the pantsuit in the rhythm dance, I think she should do a skirt for the free, which Jenny said, and I agree with. And I love the top of her pantsuit in the free. I think they have potential to be good. I think he needs that time with Patrice to really become confident, and she needs to become confident in him as a partner. Like it just looks.
They're new, and it looked like they were new, and I will forgive everything because they are new. And even this whole year, I think it's, also, what country are they representing?
Spain.
Oh, okay. And he skated for another country before?
Germany.
Okay. So they look great
He's
together.
British.
Right, I know that.
Yes.
They look great together, and I'm excited to see. And if it doesn't pan out this year, like it takes a while to gel, but like I love watching whatever she comes up with. I'm assuming it's her because she always has great stuff. I feel like she gets it, but she doesn't take skating too seriously, and that's why I love it.
I think she has the potential to be like a really, really top ice dancer. And it'll be curious to see if they start at this level, where they are in a year or two.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple of years, and I hope that they can. Like, I hope they can get the funding and have the patience and whatnot for all of that, because it sometimes takes a while, and that's normal.
They're improving very quickly. I think he should darken his hair so that they have. People used to see this. Listen, about the look on the ice. I didn't say he should wear fake hair. I said he should darken his hair. Okay. This woman has never dyed her hair before. Like, what's so crazy about that? Like, it's an aesthetic sport. Hello.
Sorry, I don't even know what color his hair is. I only watched the video.
That's what you were saying, yeah. I'm with you.
It's like light brown. If he went to a dark brown, at least look natural. Go to a salon. Don't do it out of a box at CVS. Like, I'm talking about like a real trip to like a colorist. Okay. Olivia can afford it, allegedly, right? We can like get it a little darker. That way, when he puts product in it, when he's being Elvis, it just looks more real and less caricature-y, especially with the pink coat. Like, I just think that they need to have more contrast, because it's like a muted color situation in the free that's not like popping. And I think that they need to pop, because she's blonde, and when he has light brown, it doesn't have like contrast. So it's a method to like the crazy. But this is what I'm thinking. And just like the play of the use of color, because she and Adria worked so well because she had the blonde coloring and he had the Spanish coloring, right? So it like this, you kind of like just get like, like he's just kind of in the background and she's being fabulous. So we have to like contrast them a little bit. And they need more interplay as like a team, like maybe to spend more time together and figure out their unique.
They're very new, right?
Yeah, they're very new. Yeah.
And you can tell, and I mean, like I said, they probably have to compete for funding, and then you're out before you're barely like, we've spent 2 minutes together and all of a sudden you're competing. So it's unfortunate that they have to compete when they're not ready, because I feel like, they could just show up at, say, Europeans or something and without us having seen them all year, and they would just blow us away. But we have to see the process because they have to compete.
I do think the Korean team is a future star, especially her. I think Hannah is such a star of like the next 4 years that I'm interested to see how she develops. What did you make of Marjorie and Zach here?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump right in because I think there's nothing worse than when you kind of have a season, right? Where you're not buying the rhythm dance theme or whatever the heck is going on with and I don't envy that task of how each team is trying to solve the problem that is this season's rhythm dance. I think they do it the best. I think the Thriller, her outfit is on point. It is enough of a nod to the video without being like a cringe version of it. And I think their entrance to and the rotational lift in it is so good. I think their sort of like fun, big, powerful style is so much more effective than this sort of lyrical thing they keep trying to push in the free dance. Because as I've said 100 times on this show, I really liked when they did their Rio free dance and they were like exotic birds and they were doing all these cool things and I was so into it. But now they keep trying to just sort of soften them up and I don't know that that's really their thing. So I just got super jazzed about the Canadians. Sorry about that.
No, I haven't found their free dance. I was doing my best to try to find all the videos in this traveling process, but their rhythm dance, loved it. It's my favorite of the season so far. And the way it felt like really aggressive in the best way possible. And I loved like how they bombed into the twizzles at the beginning. So good. I really liked it. And the rhythm dance is hard and I haven't seen many this season yet, but like that was my favorite for sure.
As far as the third place team, Lopareva and Broussard, something's missing for me in this team, and I don't know what it is, if it's a power, if it's something, but to me, I didn't like remember them at the end of the event.
Like, I just remember not getting it. Like I thought both for the rhythm dance and the free dance, and you can take me on a wild ride. I'm down. You want to be artsy fartsy and get all weird? Let's do it. But in both programs, I was like, what's happening now? Do I need like program notes to understand? It was like Mimey and the Rod and other things.
It was very French.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but even when Peshala was doing like the Petit Prince or whatever, and they were doing, and it took me a second to kind of get into it, but then you get into it, I don't necessarily see myself getting into this the same way. But
I feel like they have a wall up. Like we were talking about with the men, I feel like there's no connection yet. Not between them, but like between them and the audience or between them and anyone watching, because they're really quite good. I haven't watched them before and they're good. But they're different and that's great, but you can't get invested, it feels like.
I agree. I feel very drawn to the Czech girl of the Tashlers. This girl is dominating that brother of hers. She is so aggressive. Like in the warm-up, I can't stop watching her. She reminds me of like the line captain on a synchro team. She has enough personality for 16 people that she could keep in line. Okay, that I am fascinated by her. Like the more I see her, the more I'm intrigued. Their programs are weird. Last year was global warming. This year it's a tribute to the father. I mean, it's a lot, but I'm intrigued and I want to.
Their rhythm dance, it reminded me, Dave, remember those Denise Spielman like borderline workout programs she would do where basically it was an aerobics class.
Yes.
Like doing it all. I was like, that's what this felt like. They were at 100 miles an hour every second of that program. Massive. They were about to like blow out the walls on every side of the rink. It's just so exciting to watch how big it is. It makes it a little wild and scary in the free dance, but it did make it very exciting in the rhythm dance, I thought.
Yeah. I'm all about it. I don't know. I'm following her energy. The younger Czech team, to me, has lost something since they won Junior Worlds. She's grown a lot, and now her posture is so pitched forward that it's losing some of the magic for me, but they're really good skaters.
They really are, and I hope they find maybe different vehicles for them next season, Because again, I don't think both Czech teams are very similar. And they sort of remind me of the things I liked about Hubble and Donahue, but Hubble and Donahue always kind of downplayed their power and strength instead of just maximizing it. And yeah, the younger Czech team, I think, is sort of trying to apologize for their power and aggression, whereas the older Czech team is just owning it, and I'm here for it.
Now, Green and Parsons, we found out today that Hawaii and Baker withdrew from their Grand Prix. Now, they haven't competed in almost a year. I mean, they haven't said that they're retiring, but I think it would be very difficult for them to compete, right, after they've been gone for so long. If that spot opens up, I think that Green and Parsons should go to Montreal. They should run.
If the spot at the coaching center opens up. Yeah, it's not working.
It's not working, and she knows it. You can see, and she is the one that wanted to leave the coaches in Virginia. Like, she had it. And I think that I noticed that she doesn't look confident in their material.
Fair enough.
That's tough. That's tough when you don't believe in it or you don't think it's right. That's a really hard place to be.
When again, it seems like we were on it about the feedback that we loved that modern program they did in the Olympics season, although I'm sure they were devastated and maybe thought that was the reason they didn't make the team, even though I thought they should have. So now then they did the sort of cheesier program last season, and now I think their team thinks they're doing a modern program this year, and to me it is not. It is modern lyrical instead of like stylish and cool and edgy, and I think again that's what they are. I think something's got to change because they are stalling out and they are safely behind the pack.
Yeah.
The judges are coming in loud and clear on this.
Her face in the rhythm dance was clear when they got the scores, and I don't know. I think they have stuff to work on technically, and especially her confidence. And I think Marie-France has done a good job with empowering the Olivia Smarts and the Papadakis and the Hubbles. And I think that this could really help her. I mean, look how Madison Chock has transformed since moving to Montreal. So I don't know. I think that this team, if they want to make it in the future, like, because they're at a real crossroads right now. Like, this is Zingis and Kolesnik are coming up in the US very quickly, and this team's going to get pushed.
Would you have thought they would have fared better if they had stayed in Virginia, or do you agree with their idea that they needed a change, they just perhaps didn't make the right one?
Well, I thought that the decision on the Olympic team was the correct one because Hawaii and Baker had that great free dance and seemed to be better skaters. I think that the skating skills were just not as strong in their old school. And certainly not at the level of what we see from like Olivia Smart or someone like Hubble.
You were in favor of a change. It was just they didn't maybe pick the right move.
I think that they tried with Charlie, but I think it's like a lot of teams very quickly, and they haven't had any time to grow. That's what so I don't know. Yuka seems to be. Did Yuka have any students before Jeremy, Alissa? Like, or was she just like a natural, like just like from birth, like she was just ready to do this?
She's just born perfect. She was working with. Actually, I had worked with her a little bit, and she was working with skaters, but she was still touring. So, and that's when Stars was, more of the 4-month tour or 5-month and stuff. So she was doing shows a lot of the year and then just working a little bit. And then Jeremy came to her, which sort of ended her show career a little bit. And she dove right in with Jeremy.
Were you an easier student than Jeremy?
I don't know if I was easier. I was different. I had different demons to fight.
Okay. But so she hadn't really had a lot of, I think dance is so different too with the amount of programs they have to do and the themes and the choreography and the challenges of 2 people and everything. I just think he has a lot of teams, and I think they have to kind of figure out what their mix is. And I noticed it in Nashville, like Charlie was doing like one aesthetic for the guys with like the button shirt open, right? To look dated, having speed, right? But it was like a show program. But I just noticed he has some teams like Ian Somerville isn't matched with someone at his level, right? Like he needs someone that's like strong, like an Isabella Flores or someone that's like really magic, and they haven't had that team yet to really push. And Green and Parsons is like, they've just kind of missed the mark, but like through a lot of effort, missed the mark, but they're not, something's not clicking yet. So I don't know. And I think there's a lot obviously riding on it because they were like fourth in a very strong field in 2022. And now this is getting tight. So yeah.
Speaking of open shirts,
Yeah.
Dennis Vasiliev.
Yes. What's your take on this? Yes.
I liked his shirt in the short. I liked that it was sort of falling off. And although every time I watch Dennis, I just want to watch Stefan. Like he skates so similarly to Stefan. I just want to watch Stefan skate. And then I go watch Stefan do some exhibition that he did. And I'm just like, he's still one of the best skaters in the entire world.
Well, I like that you're trying to learn your skating history because I yelled at you about this like a while ago. You were watching Doug Ramsey.
Yes. Okay. So in Doug Ramsey's program, 1961, he's doing a spin and he hops from the back foot to the front foot, as now is a feature. And then he does like literally a double Salchow and lands in his back seat in the middle of the spin. He does a double jump. It's really cool.
Yes. The one that could jump with his hands in his pockets and do the double axel if you see Rise. Yeah.
Oh, and then Tim, I don't remember his last name. That was also the 1961 Nationals. Yeah. And he does, I don't know why 1961 Nationals is on my feed, but I just have been watching it. And Tim, he's in this 5-minute program. He starts out really cool. Like the steps that he does in his program are quite unique, as are many people's, that like nobody plays with steps anymore because they're not important. He barely jumps. Like he does a couple singles and a couple failed doubles. And I think he's sort of making up the program as he goes. And at the end of it, he does a split jump, and then he does a second split jump, lands, and ends his program off the ice.
Yes.
Just decides to make it. It's very cool.
And he ran to the paramedics in real life.
Pardon?
He ran to the paramedics in real life. Like he had this whole like heart issue. Yes, that happened.
Maybe that's why his program was going south.
That's how Doug Ramsey made the competition.
Oh. And then there's a pair team, and is it Maribel or Lawrence Owen, the daughter that did pairs? Which one?
Maribel did pairs with the older partner who came back from the war.
Yes. So they do in Killian position. They do a flip jump in Killian position. Like they both jump and they switch like from one side to the other. It's very cool. And they also do like a waltz jump loop, and they do it in a Killian position where they both jump.
Okay.
It's so cool.
Now
it seems
people
so many things
sworn
that
to
people
me.
don't do.
People have sworn to me that Janet Lynn was emulating Laurence Owen's free skate from 61.
Carol Heiss competed in 61 as well, right?
60.
So I was watching that one earlier this year when I got back from tour. And also some really, it's just the steps. Like nobody
had her original book right here.
Oh, really? Oh, that's nobody does unique stuff. That's why I liked Kevin so much, because he took the time to have so many different things that don't give you any points, but they're really cool, and I appreciate them so much.
Yeah.
You need to watch Laurence Owen's program, obviously.
I think I did. I also watched that one in there. I just can't remember. And I have some videos. I took videos of different parts of it.
You need to watch Andre Nepola, and on the Flow Skate channel, the 71 Worlds documentary. It will be, and you watch it with Kurt because you see Sandra competing with her brother. She's in like some Brady Bunch era garb. Like it is really a great film. So yeah. What was your moment of the week, Alissa, for all of Skate America? What thrilled you the most?
I think Amber Glen's triple axel.
Yeah.
Good one.
I'm tied between that and the opening stationary lift in Chock's program. When I saw it, I thought this is.
I think their whole program, by the time we get to Nationals or World, will be the moment. It's already really cool and fantastic, but I think that you just like dance programs always get better, right?
We didn't even talk about
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does he balance like that? I want to go try it just for fun.
How old is Evan? He's been skating a long time. Like
he's almost my age, so he's probably 34.
Right.
No, he's younger than that. Sorry, he's probably not 34. He might be 34. 33, 32.
Crazy.
I remember Evan and Emily at sectionals in a long time ago when my sister was still competing, and they did a whatever little dance that they did, and they were getting off and they tripped and fell and on the exit. They were so good. Like they were 9 and 10 or 10 and 11, and everyone was like, they're going to be good.
I know people that will still tell you about how good Emily Samuelson's free leg was, that they like will still bow down to how good her extension was. So did you all like overlap at the same time when you were training in like 2010, and then like Meryl and Tessa and everyone? Would you ever go to the Canton rink? Well, you got choreography from Marina, right? Like
I used to skate at the Canton rink back in when Marina and Igor first moved there. I was already skating there when I took from Teresa. And then I sort of left and didn't really come back until I worked with Marina, but I skated there often, and I've known like kind of cross paths with many of them throughout. And in fact, I did Grand Prix with Maddie Chock when she was with Greg.
yeah.
And they did, well, what was the program? I can't remember. It was a good free dance that they had.
The one year they did Cabaret, their last year.
That's it. That one. I remember that one.
And they did Phantom of the Opera the year before Marilyn and Charlie did. And they both, Igor did both programs. But there was different cuts of music, but they did Phantom of the Opera to win Junior Worlds. They had some really boring program in 2010, but 2009 they did Phantom. And then I was looking on YouTube the other day because I was looking up Ian Lorello after we saw him at the Dick Button Festival. And he competed in novice. And there was a video that came up of like the novice original dance. And it was Chock in maybe 2007, right? It was Chock and Greg Zerline, the Shibutanis, Lorello's brother, because there were like multiple Canusios and Lorellos going on. And who else? I'm blanking, but there were like so many good people. Go watch this performance. Watch this competition.
Speaking of Ian is such a great example of like skaters getting better when they're professional.
Yes.
When you watch his Afternoon of a Faun, I think he's just like he's become so much better. I will take these out so he can hear me too.
Well, Jonathan, what was your moment of the week?
Kevin's final step sequence in the bolero.
All right. Well,
yeah,
I'll go with Chock and Big.
That and Kurt Browning's figures from '85. Those are real highlights. Yes. I will cherish forever. Yeah.
Oh man, hold an edge and look sexy, everyone. Bye.